to happen. So obviously, we had the opportunity to do this with Sam last year at Bective in New South Wales when we did the first one. And it was such a hit, we couldn't resist coming back and having another crack. And Sam and the team are quite the entertainers. And given the fact that so much of what they do is marketing the product that you all grow, nothing beats a demonstration from the people that go and do that. So welcome, Sam.
Testing 1, 2. Yeah, thanks, Gary. Good to be back. When you said you're going to give up the call-up, I said lock it in. So we've put on quite a show tonight. There's a lot of preparation that's gone through to it. And do you mind if I just introduce the team?
You go for it.
All right, guys. So to my left is my good mate, Doug. Doug and I go back. He's back for a second year, if you would have seen him in New South Wales. But believe it or not, when I was a young kid back doing school, I used to work in a butcher's shop on the weekend. And Doug was my manager. He's now the corporate master butcher for MLA for over 25 years, and there's not much he doesn't know about Australian beef. So it's good to have you back, Dougie.
Thanks, Sammy. Good to be
To
here.
my right, Liam McLaughlin. He's part of Global Hospitality Group and also helps me out from time to time with Matt. These guys are red meat aficionados. They cook all around the world, from Glastonbury in the UK to World Expo in Dubai, and they're going to be manning the fire pits here tonight, producing some wonderful sides and beef, Gary. So that's the team, mate. We're really excited to be here.
So how fantastic is it, Sam, that we actually get to showcase the beef and what you do with it and what you train all those chefs and restaurants and all the work you do. Here you are getting to show that to the people that actually grow it. It's fantastic. And I know this is going to be an incredible situation, so let's get started.
Yeah, Gary, so we'll start off with a video first, and that video is quite important. It's some work that MLA did with ISS, which is a big mining caterer in the Pilbara in the WA. So I met Billy, who's one of the young beef leaders from Western Australia. Sits just up the road from here. Here's a case study, quick video on how MLA grew to man 30% with Australian beef in the Pilbara with ISS mines and Hancock prospecting. Over to the video, please.
I'm Stuart Rose. I'm the CEO of ISS here in the Pacific, and that encompasses Australia and New Zealand. We're an organisation that operates across multiple sectors in industry, in aviation, healthcare, and here in mining. The workforce that we're sustaining these days, they're looking for something different. People are prepared to change to another or one village to another if they don't believe that the food service meets their needs. Food plays a really, really incredibly important part of that experience. So to give them variety, to give them the freshest produce, and to give them some experience that our chefs have really gone above and beyond to make them feel like it is a home away from home is critically important part of our vision. One of the great things about this industry, and people refer to as the facility services industry, really it is part of the hospitality industry. And in hospitality, there's so many amazing people. And I've had an experience in the last couple of days where somebody who I first worked with 20 years ago and haven't seen for nearly that much time popped up again here as part of our MLA experience. And it's been brilliant catching up with Sam Burke again. He's in the kitchen now preparing some of the Tomahawk steaks for tonight. And Sam, to you and the whole MLA team, massive thanks. Great to catch up with you again.
Hi, I'm Chef Sam Burke, Corporate Executive Chef for Meat and Livestock Australia. I'm here in the Pilbara with ISS Facility Services. Well, we've been working hand in hand with the chefs on the line in the mining camps right here to ensure beef is showcased its very best across all meal periods. 16 executive chefs from around the mine camp, we brought them all here, and then looking at lamb as well, and really showing a variety of different cultural meals too, because we know that there's a variety of different cultures that come here and work at the mines. We want them to feel at home when they're eating red meat on menu. Australian lamb is just as important as beef out here. We know that red meat provides high iron, zinc and protein. It gives these miners the sustainability to get through the day, to accompany salads, legumes, pulses as part of a balanced diet. We know that every time we get red meat on at one of these sites, we consume up to 1.2 tonne of protein per service period. Fire to fork, we're bringing the local producers here, we're bringing the miners together to celebrate Australian red meat over fire. We really want to make sure that we showcase our product, not just on the plate here, but give culinary tips to the end consumer, in this case the residents, so they can have success with Australian beef and lamb for their families when they get home.
So a day in the FIFO kitchen for a 2,000 man camp, you'll have 10 chefs roughly working with you, 12-hour day. This camp we actually have 2 kitchens and we also have a food truck. So technically we have 3 food outlets. So there's plenty of variety and there's always something going on. You could be cooking on an average day 500 kilos, if not more. That would feed roughly 1,700 residents from D1 alone. An average protein pull for diced beef or diced lamb could be anywhere between 150 to 200 kilos. So you're cooking well over a tonne of meat per day here.
We look after facilities all around Australia, roughly servicing anywhere between 20 to 30 million meals a year. Being a globalised business, we have catering facilities and catering operations all the way around the globe. And one of the most important things is obviously how we sustain nutrition and how we obviously look after ourselves while we are up here at site. Working in 37 to 45 degree heat, on an ongoing basis, 12 hours a day for 12 days or 14 days straight. It's really important, obviously, as a service provider, that we provide a really nutrition heavy, rich diet, obviously, for our residents here on camp. And that's where red meat comes into play with our great selection of obviously sirloin steaks to briskets to beef curries, making sure that the team are able to fulfill themselves, feel nourished, and obviously ready to hit the workforce out there in the heat.
All right, so there's a quick case study of how MLA work on the front line of food service, Gary. So we'll start off with Dougie tonight, I think, Gaz. He's to my left there. And we'd like to thank the sponsors, Hewitt, for providing the beef here today. Wonderful organic grass-fed product.
Yep.
Over to you, Dougie, for the rib set.
Good on you, Sammy. Alrighty, we've got a rib set here. This comes off the forequarter, obviously. Some of you guys might have seen a longer rib on some of your Tomahawks out there, but this one's a little short rib. So this section here that's been taken off is actually your short ribs. So what we've got left here is what we call the OP rib. Just going to prep these up for Sam, who's going to cook these on the barbie for you. So we'll cut some nice big, 300, 400 grammers for Sam. Just going to take off a little bit of that, the rib meat there. And then we're just going to cut down and just prep them up. Take out the intercostals. The little intercostals. The best thing about butchery is butchers have learnt how to utilise the whole carcass over the years. Those butchers that have been buying in fresh beef carcasses into their business have learnt that a long time ago, that nothing gets wasted and the whole entire animal gets used. As we've progressed over the years, there's a lot more carton meat being used, which means not all the carcasses being used in Australia. So what we try to do, one of the main goals that MLA or through the Australian Butchers Guild, is to try and encourage the butchers to utilise more of the carcass, looking at the different cuts, not just the cube rolls, the strippies, the tenderloins, but there's all those other cuts that we look at that we know that we can eat. They don't just suit a slow cook. They'll also actually do for a grill. Like if you look at chuck,
Well done, brother.
you get a nice whole chuck. You can strip that down. You can take the chuck eye log out, which is the continuation of the cube roll as it runs into the forequarter. You can get some pretty good steaks out of that, provided it's a good animal. It's got a little bit of marbling. We've actually done it with some Wagyu, with some grass-fed Wagyu actually, with a group of butchers. We cooked it up for them at one of our events. And we're actually we sort of told them, we served them up at half time. We said, so what did you eat? We had a lot of different answers, rump, cube roll. We weren't far wrong. But when we told them it was chuck, it opened up their eyes that it's not just a slow cook. It's about the quality of the meat that you're using and the way that you're going to cook it and utilise it. So out of that, we got some Delmonico steaks, which is the chuck eye log. You can cut a few of them out of that. And then there was a Denver, which is the rib cap, which runs across the top of the chuck. So I'm just going to cut this up now. Just going to cut a few little cattleman's cutlets so Sammy can chuck them on the grill. So Sammy,
Yes, Doug.
what have you done with these? With some of you've put these in a couple of restaurants around the place, haven't you?
Yeah, so Gary, what we've been focusing on this year, mate, is really looking at those Showstopper centrepiece steaks. We know that The big fellas like you and I love our 300 gram, ribeye with the peppercorn sauce and chips and coleslaw. But, we want to try and encourage as many people as we can to eat Australian beef. So what we're finding is a lot of these restaurants are now putting these big centerpiece cuts in the middle of the table with some wonderful sides, which is what we're going to do here today. And then you can have as much as you like or as little as you like to really satisfy your own consumption, and also to make sure it's enjoyable, because if I was to put a 300 gram cattleman cutlet in front of my wife, she'd probably run away. So we want to make sure that we're increasing consumers enjoying the product, so we make it available to as many people as we can on food service. There's three purposes for this. Number one, it's beautiful, it's theatre, right? It's the way that people like to eat. Number two, right, people don't feel guilty about, the worst sustainability is all if it gets to the plate and then it goes into the bin. So people can take as much as they like or as little as they like. Number three, beef's a premium product. It makes it affordable for the chef to keep it on menu by having these celebration cuts, as well as having the Showstopper big 300 gram Scotch fillets, that we've traditionally had as centre of plate steaks. Yeah.
And the best part about this is everyone here tonight's going to get to sample this amazing food. And thank you very much to the team at Hewitt's, Ben, Mick, Gawley. Thank you for supporting this and providing the product. It's interesting you just mentioned about taking it out of the cube. We did some recent stuff actually with an Angus product and served it up and actually asked people what it was. I put 4 X's on it. So it got known as the beer steak. Most people guess it as being fillet, but as you say, it was actually taken out of the chuck.
Yeah. I tell you what, it eats well. It eats really extremely well out of a good animal.
So what else we got on here, Gary, over here is the picanha. So that's the rump cap that's on menu here tonight. So, with these big churrasco skewers, we've just cut that across the grain and then we've threaded them on. We've cut them about 3 to 4 centimetres thick so they can control the degree of doneness. And what I advise the consumer at home is to get themselves a meat thermometer and keep on flipping. Make sure you get a nice caramelisation. There's a lot of flavour in that fat, but we're going to cook that to an internal doneness of 54 degrees. And when we rest it, it's going to come up to 62 to 65 to give the ideal kind of medium rare consistency, which is the killer steak, if you like, for South Americans. You go to Brazil, that's more expensive than cube roll, right on the menu,
Well, Sam, interestingly, when JBS entered Australia, this is actually the first cut that Australia shipped back to South America for the very purpose that you're talking about. And I think it was the first time, and I don't know how many decades, maybe forever, that Australian beef made its way to South America in the very form that you're presenting it.
Well, I make no apologies for that. The producer does wonderful stuff. All these guys out here work tirelessly to get consistent eating quality, wonderful genetics, beautiful pastures, happy cattle, and then at the end the consumer keeps on buying it. Why? Because it's consistent, it's quality, it presents well, and there's a great story behind it. And now Bactive Brands and MSA is just taking it to the next level. And that's what we do with day in and day out of food service. If you want the honest truth, I very rarely market sirloin steaks and rib fillet. I'm talking about rumps. I'm talking about outside flats with Dougie. I'm talking about oyster blades. We're looking at outside that 8% of loin cuts, how do we move the rest of the carcass? Which is what Doug's doing right over here now. Doug mic'd up.
Mike's, there we go, we're on now. So we've got the D-rump here. So we've got 4 muscles here. So you've got your rump cap, your rump centre, your rump eye side muscle, and underneath, he's missing it actually, so we won't even talk about him, the little pillow that's underneath. That's a really nice, cool little piece of meat. They're taking that off for us. But the rump cap is what Sammy said is a really nice piece of meat called the picanha. Really popular with barbecuers, like as a whole as a roast or as steaks like what Sam's got over there. So it's just a matter of pulling your rump cap off. Comes off quite simply. There's just one seam through there. And we want to cut some decent sized steaks out of that one to get them on the skewers. Get about 3 or 4 good sized steaks out of that. And they'll go straight on the skewers ready for the barbecue. The other part here is what they call the roast biff. It's not roast beef, it's roast biff, R-O-S-T-B-I-F-F. That's that one solid muscle, the rump eye centre there. So you've actually got 2 subprimals in that part there. So we've got the rump eye side, and then you've got your rump centre. And if you look at that, if you can see that on the screen, you see a line of fat through the centre there. There's actually that seam. So if you think about with a rump where it comes off the butt, down near where the leg bone comes down, there's a lot of gristle in that region there. And that's the first cut of rump. And that's the part that I tell my wife not to buy when she goes to the butcher's. Somehow or another, she always comes back with it. I think she misinterprets that. But anyway, so that's that part though. So what we're trying to do is going to remove that section there without actually losing too much meat.
Right?
So what I want to do is find that little bit of gristle. Just use the point end of your knife.
Flat irons will talk about that.
You can trace that bit of sinew all the way from one side of the rump to the other. If you can see that there now. That's what we're looking for, that whole bit of gristle there. Yep. It's just a matter of following that right through the bottom, cut right through. We're going to end up with a really cool little piece of meat we call the rump medallion, which is this little section here. A lot of people refer to rump as having a bit of fat on it. You can serve this up in a restaurant and say it's a rump medallion, but a lot of people turn around and might say, where's the fat? But there's no fat on that. We can use that as a rump medallion or a rump eye fillet, and
in the middle.
cook that. This sort of cut here takes place of some of those first cuts, well, the tenderloin basically. So we could use that for fine dining, whereas you don't have that expense. So with these, we'll cut these into some nice little steaks. These are going to go on the skewers as well. But if you look at the shape of them, they do resemble a tenderloin. You can't sell them as a tenderloin, but they certainly will eat pretty good.
Thank you, Gary.
First time I had them was at a restaurant and caterer's night, and it was served up with brisket, pulled brisket. So you had both ends of the animal, both secondary cuts. But what a great way to highlight beef in a main meal with both ends of the animal. So from the rump to the brisket, both cooked beautifully. One was slow cooked, one was grilled. Very, very tasty. This part here, this is the rump centre. We could leave that on that. That way we've got that bit of fat there. So that's what people associate with rump, having that rump fat, which has got a different type of flavour to the rest of the animal. We can split that in half, or we can cut steaks like that. So with this one, I'm just going to drop this in half, and we'll cut some more of those medallions out of it for the skewers. So we've got plenty of meat there for everyone to eat.
So Gary, what we're doing over here, right? Thank you, Dougie. Round of applause for Doug. Master
Round of
Butcher.
applause.
So Gaz, we got the sirloin on the bone here. We like to call this the club steak. Eats very well. That's at about 35 degrees internal. Just rendering the fat down there so I don't get a flame up. The rump caps are going beautifully, and now I've just put on the oyster blade. Why I put the flat irons on last is because I want it to all come up harmoniously off the grill at once.
So you used a lovely name there, oyster blade, but you then switched to flat iron. Explain flat iron as a steak on a menu.
Well, believe it or not, Dougie's got some over there. He's about to do it after he puts these picanhas up. But what the flat iron is, it's two steaks off the oyster blade with the sinew in between, or the seam in between. And we're seeing that as, if you look at the MSA grading system, right, we're seeing that to be the most second tender. It's even tender than cube roll, right? When it's good graded product in the flat iron format, put on the grill. And it's once again, Gary, it's a beautiful theatre steak. You can put it on a chopping board, slice the whole piece across the grain, and then serve it with some wonderful sides. And it's got a real beefy flavour, and it puffs up when it cooks. So it's a fantastic cut of mine, And I just like to take it nice and easy here on the side of the grill where I've got less heat.
The only trick with a flat iron is to make sure you don't overcook it. It's one that doesn't like
That's correct.
being too
That's
overcooked.
correct, mate. Medium rare, and then rest it for half the amount of cook time. So about 4 minutes on each side, and rest for another 4 minutes. Yeah. So these rump caps are coming along beautifully, and good beef takes time. The wonderful thing about these parillas, we can raise it off the coals and drop it if we want some more sear.
Is this your personal design, Sam?
No, it's not, but I did see that meat stock, and I said, right, I'm going to grab these, and these have been all around Australia for me. WA, I've cooked them in Victoria, cooked them in New South Wales, Queensland. They've travelled more kilometres than Albie Mangle, these barbecues. And they're crackers, mate. They absolutely work, right? And that's what it's about, right? So Chef Liam here has got these rib sets that Dougie freshly butchered off. We call these the Cuttleman Cutlets, OP rib. We're getting a nice sear over the top of these, and we've just lightly put some sea salt, and nothing goes to waste, Gary. Nothing goes to waste. This Wagyu tallow was for some briskets that I rendered down back in Sydney in the MLA kitchen. And then I've got a rosemary and thyme brush, and I use that to baste my steaks. Why use vegetable oil when you've got the wonderful natural product of Australian beef? You talk about sustainability, we've got an opportunity to be here sustainable in every effort. We did a masterclass with TAFE, Gary, and we used the tallow in a cake for dessert instead of butter. How's that? You know, and it was fantastic, mate. So we've got a bit of a flame up from these scotchies, but that's all right. The beautiful thing is you get a bit of a flame up, bang, off the heat, right? Calm it down, put it back on, you know. The consumer always stresses when they're cooking steaks and they're burning it. Solution, half of the barbecue on, half of it off. If you have trouble, move it to the cold side. That's what us professional chefs do. When we got char grills, we have half on cool, on a slower heat, and half searing at a hot heat to get a nice crust on it. That gives us control. Same thing, you got issues with the rump cap, flip it off to the right. You want the heat, flip it back on. That's it, you know what I mean? I like cooking over fire because the fat drops down on the iron bark. It licks, the flavour comes back and up and fuses through the meat, you know, and we're looking at the end result here. Liam, do you mind just probing that for me? Just the centre cut. We'll probe that and we'll take those fixed steaks off. Look, I can touch it and I know that's got another 8 minutes, but for the consumer, I don't want you to stuff it up. Get a thermometer, $20 at Bunnings, stick it in the middle, and when it comes to 54, take it off, lightly put foil over it, and rest it for half the amount of cook time. Also, head to your App Store or Google Store and download SteakMate, MLA's Australian beef app that'll help you have consistency with Australian beef on menu. Back to you, Dougie, over there with the oyster blade.
Well explained, Sam, so I hope you got a lot out of that one, how to cook a steak properly, and what else he's doing out there. This is what we call the oyster blade. So this part here is from the shoulder. It's that part that sits next to the bowler. It's one of those hard-working muscles, obviously a secondary cut or a non-primal cut. Does a lot of work, but is extremely tender. If you ask me, being an old butcher, this one would be number 2 on the tenderness scale for me. And I think it obviously beats a tenderloin for flavour as well.
On the other one.
Suits the roast as it is or in a piece like that. We can cut it into oyster blade steaks, which are great on the grill, or you can actually do them as a braised steak as well. We like braised steak and onions. Well, then we can seam it all out. We can take that bit of sinew out of there. We'll remove all that. We've removed off the scapula, cartilage off the inside there. Then we've got a bit of silver skin and fat off the top we're going to take off. And then we're going to split it down the centre, taking that little bit of connective tissue out, which leaves us with that beautiful flat iron steak. This steak's become very popular. It's been very popular in food service for quite some time now. We're trying to encourage a few butchers to do it. There's a little bit of work involved, but at the end of the day, it's making sure that the customer's going to get a beautiful eating quality steak. This one here is very forgiving. I know I've cremated it on the odd occasion on the barbecue. Been otherwise concerned about making sure I'm keeping hydrated rather than cooking the food. So it still eats quite well, even though you may have accidentally overcooked it a bit. So we've taken off that top section there, and we're left with 2 beautiful lean sides, like that. At the fat end of it, you'll notice there's a little bit of sinew in there. That's the thick part that we're looking for. Don't start down the narrow end because you just won't find it. So the whole idea is to follow that all the way through. So you've got to sit it on its side, grab hold of that little tongue hanging out the top there. You use your knife like a scraper. So you just use the top sort of centimetre or so. I'll just get that started and I'll be able to show you what I'm looking for. We're going to try and find all that sinew. So I find, if you're looking at that, that's what I'm looking at. This is going to be, I'll see if I can just show you as I go through it. I'm going to have to open that up a little bit more. But this steak can also be used for a stroganoff, a stir fry. One of the other things that we've been playing around with, why should pork have all the fun at Christmas time? What about a beef roast? You can do a nice standing rib roast. We can use those cattleman's cutlets as a roast, the OP ribs. Something a little bit different, we can use the oyster blade. So through the Australian Butchers Guild, which is a program that we run for the Independent Butcher Channel, we've got some great value add recipes. And one of them is a cranberry and orange stuffed oyster blade. We brought that out last Christmas, and we had quite a few butchers take that up, putting it on their Christmas list of what they got available for Christmas, and it didn't go too bad. You're never going to outdo the opposition, but it's just putting a little dent in Christmas for them.
Yeah, all good.
So that's what I'm looking for, a nice big piece of flat steak like that. I think we've got a little bit of extra brachial there. Yeah, we do. Get rid of that section there. So you've got that nice little piece of meat there. Then that's what we're looking for when we take that out. So that nice big piece of gristle there, we want removed.
What have we got?
It's just a matter of repeating the process and getting rid of that. I find it easy just to slide the knife underneath. Do a little bit at a time so you don't waste too much meat. Angle your knife up a little bit as you go. You feel a bit of resistance on that sinew. But this steak, honestly, we've seen it in the supermarkets. A mate of mine works in a Coles supermarket, and he reckons it's one of the fastest moving steaks on the shelf because people have got used to it, and it's actually really tender. So that's what we're looking at. We got a little bit of trim there, but obviously we don't waste all that. So we'll use that in our sausages, our grind for burgers, meatballs. A lot of butchers are doing a lot of value adding these days, so they're doing pre-cooked as well. So think about lasagnas, meat, your raviolis, all that sort of stuff. A lot of guys are doing all that, as well as the normal everyday mince. Things like that. There's a bloke who's been working with that. He reckons you can melt that down and it gives your food that gelatinous flavour. So nothing much gets wasted because you get a lot of gelatin out of these parts of the animal. So again, nothing much is getting wasted. Sammy, how are you going over there, mate?
All right, mate, I'm going to cut to Gary. He's going to introduce the birthday boy.
The birthday boy, the celebrity chef, Alistair McLeod. Alistair, we have grabbed you while you're running and preparing food, but what I'd like to ask you is what would you recommend a non-primary cut for everyone to try at home, and how would you recommend cooking it? What's your favourite secondary cut?
Can you hear me at the back? Can you see me at the back? Back in the cheap seats there?
Stand up, Al.
I might just, before I answer your question, if I may, just tell you a wee story, if you want to hear it, on my birthday. Give me a bit of pantomime at least. Let me just say, watching the craftsmanship of these chefs behind us, isn't it quite extraordinary? You guys may be used to it, but I tell you, a cook who, doesn't necessarily get down into the intermuscular cuts like these gentlemen are doing. Please give them a round of applause. Quite extraordinary. They are old as time skills. I'll just tell you a wee story if I can very quickly. The industry that I'm in, the cooks, they tend to be a bit of a whingy lot. Isn't that right, Sam Burke?
Yes, that's right.
They complain about the heat. The kitchen's very hot. The heat of the kitchen isn't just the temperature, of course. They complain about the money. Oh, we don't get paid enough as chefs. We don't get paid enough. They talk about the long hours. We work very long hours. I'm doing okay. I drove up today from Brisbane in my Audi Quattro.
Because he'd give him a bit of hand.
I got stopped just outside of town, and the guy looked in. He said, "You've got 5 people in the car."
Yes,
Quattro means 4. I went, of course I know Quattro means 4. I've got 5 seats, though. What are you talking about? And he said, "Sir, Quattro means 4. You can only have 4 people in the car." I said, "Listen, I've got a very important job to do today at Cattle Connect, supporting Sam Burke and his absolute team of rock stars." I said, "I don't have time for this shit. I want to speak to your superior officer straight away." He said, "Alistair, I'll just get him. He's talking to the 2 gentlemen over there in the Fiat Uno."
Good on you, mate. Alistair, I've known you now for 15 years.
Yes, sir.
He is one of the best caterers in Queensland, if not the best, Alfresco Catering. When Cattle Australia said, what do you think of this bloke? I said, you better up and sign the contract quick, fast, or somebody else does. He's an absolute legend. He's a supporter of everyone in industry. 17 years Good Food Wine Show. 56 years old today. Let's sing happy birthday for Alistair. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Happy birthday to you.
Come on.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy
birthday, dear Alistair. Happy birthday to you.
Good on you, Chefy.
Hip hip.
Hooray.
Hip hip.
Hooray.
I don't know what key that was, you lot.
Hey,
These are ready, Chef. No worries, Chef. Round of applause. Alistair McLeod, Master Chef. So, Gary, back to the show. Up the back here, I've got my man Matt Maslak, right? I'll just take these off the heat for a bit while we go and have a talk to Matt. Matty, we know that good steaks, if you get the camera over here, we know that good steaks need good sides.
Absolutely, Sam.
So, mate, tell us what we got here.
All right, so we all know we've got the greatest beef here on earth in Australia, all right? But let's crack it up this year with some different kind of sides. Let's get away from the traditions and get to some funky, cool ingredients. We've got some colourful heirloom tomatoes, some heirloom basil, we've got some shallots on here, we've got some olive oil, all those things nice in colour, nice and vibrant for the Australian summer Christmas, all right?
And what I like about this, we talk about third culture cuisine. We've got
Absolutely,
XO
Sam.
dressing.
XO dressing
this
as
would
well
be
to finish
probably
it
a
off.
caprese salad.
Yep.
You know, you've changed it up a bit.
Changing it up. The next one moving along is we've got some nice caramelised Brussels sprouts. Nice and peppery Brussels sprouts, caramelised again. Sam mentioned before, beef tallow, all right? Coming on trend very fast in this country as well.
And a pomegranate molasses.
Pomegranate molasses going over the top of it. Some caramelised macadamias, of course, from Queensland as well, the great macadamia growing state. All right, finished off with some crispy caramelised onions as well. Really pumping it in there. And as well, like Sam said, non-traditional pomegranate molasses, pomegranate aerials as well. Again, Queensland, another great grower of pomegranate as well. All right. Moving on to the next one, I've sort of done a bit of a funk on just some traditional greens as well. So nice golf ball radishes, they're called. They're nice and peppery, almost like rocket as well, but they've got that beautiful green and purple colour inside them, shaved off nice and simply. Inside there, a bit of a house dressing again, some lemons, some olive oil, salt, pepper, and again, really simple, really fun, getting some nice Christmassy herbs, of course, all grown in Australia, with our fantastic produce here that we've got for the country. All right, the next one I'll be moving along to in a second. Come over here, folks, have a look.
It's very important.
I've got a bit of an
Good red
Asian
meat
salad
deserves
as well.
great sides.
Sorry, Sam. So going again to our sides, I've got a great little heirloom beetroots salad here as well. Nice, beautiful golf ball beetroots. Again, I've got some caramelised shallots as well. A bit of Queensland feta, of course, as well from Yandina. Some fresh parsley in there as well. I'm going to give that a quick toss in front of you guys now. All right, get my hands in there. Don't be afraid to get dirty. All right, look at this. Beautiful colours. Absolutely fantastic. Magnificent. Really simply into a nice coloured bowl. Here we go here. 1, 2.
Why don't you bring that here so I can...
There we
heat it
go,
up.
gents. Look at that. Again, another fantastic side. Imagine that. Again, like we're saying, Christmassy colours, all about that Christmas vibrance that Australia is all about, with some beautiful steaks and some beautiful meat here in Dalby
I'm going
tonight.
to talk about this
Okay, on to the next
next.
one.
I'm going to talk about this next.
All right, thanks everyone. I'm just going to grab a bowl here for a second. Pop this one away.
Alrighty.
And our next salad that I'm going to do tonight is for you. We've got some raw pawpaw, some raw mango again. So again, similar to those very Thai, very on-trend flavours. Some sliced chilli, some Queensland cashews as well, and a little bit of a lemongrass dressing as well. What I'm going to do is, really simply, sorry guys, really simply, open up those containers again, bit of a julienne. You can cheat a little bit and do them in the spiralizer in the home kitchen for the domestic kitchen, of course, all right? That's what we did at the MLA kitchen. I always put a bit of lime juice in there as well, and that almost cooks it a little bit and gives it a really soft, gentle flavour as well. Next one in we go. Popping it in here is our raw pawpaw, all right? Again, from Queensland. How much Queensland produce have we got? Absolutely magnificent, folks. All in this beautiful state of ours here in Queensland. All right, the next one, just some lovely carrots. Carrots are Christmassy, we all know that. We all have roast carrots, we love them. Caramelise them in a bit of sugar, but here tonight, I've just julienne them as well, okay? Really nice and thin strips. Look at that, nice and fresh. Bit of oil in there. Red chilli, everyone's favourite. Bit of chilli, bit of spice for Christmas Day as well. Look how Christmassy this salad's already looking. All right. Onto our cashews, in we go. Don't be shy. They've been roasted off nicely in the oven and I've put a little bit of sugar in those as well. And as I mentioned before, just a bit of a lemongrass dressing. Really simple. I'm just going to use the end of my tongs here and pop that in there. Look at that. Bit of dressing onto that one. Then back to some herbs, guys. What I've got here is just some mint, some Thai basil again, and some Vietnamese basil as we call it, or peppered basil as well. And some lovely coriander, all right? The heat of the day's seen this one, but anyway, we get it right, okay? Again, in we go, just tear it nice and gently, in we go, all right? Then we can pop some mint in here as well.
And good steak dessert sides.
Absolutely, Sam.
Yep, it's very important that when we're presenting it, people eat with their eyes. So it's lovely to have good quality meat.
Absolutely.
But what we're trying to do here is really bring together a Christmas feast.
A Christmas feast, Sam, as you said.
Great
colour,
Australian sides.
Smells and great Australian sides.
Yeah.
Popping in a bit of Thai basil as well. We all love that flavour, okay?
It's fun.
Perfect Christmas day for it. Okay, again, just getting my hands right in there. Get the camera in there, chef, as well. Look at that. Okay, really simple. We'll hear that. Lots of textures as well. We can hear that salad as well. We can hear it pop. All right? There we go. Okay.
So while you're doing that, Matt, we'll just cut back over here. Doug's got something interesting to present, Gary. This is something we thought we'd throw in as a little extra. So Doug's done a butcher's roast using the oyster blade from the flat iron. So Doug, over to you, mate, as you base that up with the Wagyu tallow and the herbs.
Yeah, we've been cooking this. This is that oyster blade roast that we talked about before for Christmas roast. So we've seamed it out, left it into one piece, so you end up having a great big blanket of the blade. And then we just make up a nice little stuffing mix inside of it. We've got some cranberries, we've got some basil, some oregano, and some breadcrumbs, and a little bit of orange juice just to bring it all together, and we mix it all up and season the steak. Then put a little bit of cranberry, we get a cranberry sauce and some seeded mustard over the top, mixed in with a few more breadcrumbs, just to help it stick on there. And it actually it's a nice little sweet piece of beef. Doesn't take a long time to cook either, because all the meat's on the outside and you got that nice little bit of seasoning in the inside.
So the message I have, Cattle Australia, producers of Australia, the message I have this Christmas is ditch the ham and have a surf and turf or reef and beef Christmas. Hip hip?
Yo!
Yes, that's what it's all about, right? Why do we always have to have pork and ham? Have your traditions, but cut it back and have a reef and beef Christmas. Nothing wrong with that, right? You know, modern Australia, modern sides, you got your papaya salad there with the Asian twist. You got your exo tomatoes with that umami hit, Doug. We got the greens there that chef's doing up, king brown mushrooms, and then we've got a variety of different cuts. We got oyster blade, flat iron from the oyster blade, rib fillet, rump cap, bistecca, more rump cap over there. It's endless what you can do with our wonderful product.
Exactly.
I just didn't want to come here and cook steaks. What is that teaching people? I wanted to inspire people so they can go home and try this and have success. MLA have the tools to back this up and help with consumer confidence. AustralianBeef.com.au, SteakMat app, Roast Up, RareMedium.com.au for a food service twist, and for retail, Australia Butchers Guild. Check it out. Get on those socials and make use to it. A lot of time and energy has gone in to produce this content, to guarantee consistency. It's our job as industry to spruik that to our colleagues and peers so they can have success with this premium product and it remains on menu. It's as simple as that.
Well said, Sammy. Give Sammy a round of applause, everybody.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. These steaks are resting, Doug. We're going to bring the magic together. They've been resting over here. Gary, we're going to get these salads. We're going to start doing up the Christmas table over there. And then I'm going to carve these wonderful steaks, these Showstopper steaks, and we'll have an end to the wonderful production that we've done here today. Right.
Fantastic. Well, I know everyone's can't wait to try the product, and a special thanks to JBS tonight, who have provided much of the product that you're going to eat. Without the support of people like JBS providing product, it's difficult to facilitate such quality at these events, and thank you very much for them doing so.
Yeah, from the bottom. Now, while we're doing this, right, it's going to take us a bit of time to cut, right? So we'll show another video that spruiks about how Australia was crowned world's best steak city. So there's a bit of a video there. It goes through a bit of time, but that'll allow us some time to put all the food up, Gary, if that's okay.
It's not Dolby tonight, is it?
Sorry?
The world's best steak city is not Dolby tonight?
It will be by the end of tonight. Let me give you the tip, brother. All right, so over to the video to showcase Australia's best steak city. That'll give us time to plate this wonderful table up. Then we'll come back at the end of that 7-minute video and show you the Showstopper Steak buffet. Over to you, Mr. Video Man. And we get some.
Sydney is such a special city. It's got beautiful beaches, iconic buildings, a stunning harbour, and now it's been named the world's best steak city.
We up now, believe it. No, you're hurting by the night.
In 2025, Sydney claimed 11 spots on the world's 101 best steak restaurants list, including 5 in the top 20. Come and taste the best steaks in the world.
We up now, believe it. No, you're hurting by the night.
Well, it's really wonderful being number 2. It means that what we're doing is recognised by people. We've really built a very important network of growers to make sure that when we have a steak here, we know the farm it came from, how it was raised, how it was looked after. So we're sort of hand-tailoring a program where we're buying whole bodies, we're dry aging. I'm at out of the dry aging room every week. I'm talking to the butchers as they're cutting the beef. Our program's working with fantastic producers like Nick Venter from Coppertree and also, very importantly, David Blackmore. So for us, the Ironbark Fire is what gives the steak at a really beautiful level of complexity. We're bringing it in, we're seasoning it properly, we're cooking it really well. We're changing the menu every day. It's reflecting what part of the body that we're working on. Yeah, the featured steak today is the Coppertree Hereford sirloin and also the David Blackmore Wagyu sirloin. I think Sydney is great because we have a fantastic beef industry here in Australia. Without great beef, you can't have a great steak. It doesn't matter what you do, it doesn't matter what magic you apply, you must have the best steaks to start with. And our Australian beef industry is really important to why Sydney has been recognised as the #1 steak city in the world.
We've been open here for almost 16 years, one of the best dining experiences you can have in Australia for sure. So we were probably the first restaurant in the country to do aged beef in-house. So we can control all the process from start to finish, how many days we want to take it, temperature control, and obviously the size of the beef that we want to use. We have amazing farmers. I think that's probably one of the most important things. We have amazing land, lots of green, clean air, clean grass. We cook all the steaks on fire. So we use ironbark, which is an Australian native tree, really clean flavor, and it gets extremely hot, which just gives that amazing char on the steaks, really good caramelization, and quite smoky. With David Blackmore, we get the whole body, so it means we have to really use nose to tail. So we do the cheeks, we do the tail, in a braising way, always finish on fire, but we do the blades, sirloins, oyster blades. So it really gives us an advantage of utilizing the whole animals as such. So we'll have red Wagyu sirloin, quite bigger in size, less marbling, but much beefier. It will medium out, but it will have more beef notes. And then we will have our Cape Grim Scotch fillet. So we age it for around 60 days. We take it off the bone. Sometimes we play around on how do we serve it. Sometimes we do stuff on the bone, off the bone, just to give a choice to the guests what they want to have.
Grill is our brand new restaurant here in Sydney in Martin Place, focusing on great Australian beef cooked over coals. Yeah, it was very important to us when we started coming up with the concept for the grill that we showcased a very broad cross-section of great Australian beef, marble score, price, cut and quality really. At the grill we're doing all of our cooking of the steak over live fuel. So we're cooking over beautiful iron bark here. We're going to be cooking a beautiful 1.2 kilo Kidman bistecca coming out of Northern Territory, Queensland region. So it's got a marble score of about 4 or 5. It's our sort of big ticket item here at the grill. Australian beef is so unique and we have such a great landmass and different microclimates here gives us access to some of the best grazing pastures to produce arguably some of the best beef in the world.
Steak is all about the whole process, so from birth to death through to whether the animal itself, where it's coming from, the breed of beef it is, how it's been raised, how it's been killed, how it's then been aged or unaged. All these things have an effect along the way. It's sourcing that animal, the quality animal to begin with, that has a good, particularly for this style of cooking, has a good level of intermuscular fat. I like certain cuts more than others. I particularly like things like the ribeye because it's a cut that has a couple of different muscle groups. It's something that you can age on the bone. And has a very wide surface area that then opens itself up to the grill. It's a bit like a wine, you can quite happily have it fresh. And it's a perfectly good steak, but it's actually what happens and what we do ourselves is that aging process, that extensive aging process, takes over 250 days, which allows it to become something else. And it's that transformation has subtle nuances of, you know, mushroom or old sherry or aged parmesan. It's that hand selection of the beef, the quality of the producer, that they can't fall down at the last minute, so it has to be then cut to order on a bandsaw, which is what we do here, trimmed to order, cooked over a wood fire, and we use grapevines and old wine barrels for rich, aromatic, robust flavour. And literally all it needs is an open wood fire to get that crust on the beef and that flavour, and then just really good salt, that's it.
Porteño is an Argentinian institution of Sydney. We've been around for 13 years, so we cook everything over charcoal or a mix of charcoal and ironbark. We like to really showcase a lot of Australian beef and what Australian beef has to offer. For the last 2 years, over a lot of trial and error, we've put together what we think is the best showcase from both grain-fed and grass-fed for our steak selection or our dry age program. When selecting steaks at Porteño and producers, we've found that there's specific cuts from every single one that kind of showcase that producer's potential. I think the Argentinian philosophy is to use every single part of the animal, not just out of respect for the animal, but all those little secondaries and offal cuts, they're all delicious in their own way. We've got a couple of things on the menu at the moment, like beef tendon and heart, tongue, oxtail, that all kind of highlight every part of the animal. So we're going to be playing around with a skirt steak from Shimo. I work directly with Shimo, and they've done this specific spec just for us and just for Porteño. It's definitely lending itself to that Argentinian way of cooking, which is low and slow over low heat and just letting the fat render out and become, you know, the most tender, tasty cut. Sydney's lucky because we have such access to great quality beef from all around Australia, and Australian beef is obviously the best beef.
Yeah, and then we'll just fan them. Beautiful. That's it. That's it. Perfect. All right, guys. Look, we're coming to the end of the presentation. Don't worry about Sydney having the world's best steaks. How about Dolby having the world's best steaks?
Yay!
So, if you want to come up, we'll just go with the camera. We'll go through all this. That's beautiful, Doug. That's unbelievable.
Look at that.
Right, so we'll just put a few.
Don't spoil it with the green stuff.
Yeah, okay. No green stuff, right? So let's just go through the buffet with Gary, and then we'll call it a day. So, all right, Gary.
What a feast, mate.
What a
if
feast.
this was served for Christmas, everyone would have a much better day. There'd be less arguments in the family.
Mate, that's what it's all about. It's about, it's a premium protein. It's about giving it the respect it deserves and accompanying it with Australian produce inside to elevate it, right? So it's raising the steak game, raising the steak game. Bistecca, 1 kilo bistecca, reverse seared to 47 degrees and finished over flaming hot coals. Beautiful mesclun salad with watermelon radish and lemon vinaigrette. King brown oyster mushrooms with honey and soy glaze. Papaya, carrot, mango, coriander, crushed macadamia salad. Yellow beets and Persian feta. We've got to show love to the goat guys, goat feta. Bistecca served with lemon, I've just said that. Cattleman's cutlet or ribeye on the bone, OP rib. Lemon wedge, cooked a la minute, 500 gram over the fire. Heirloom ox tomatoes with red vein sorrel, toasted sesame and XO dressing. Oyster blade, stuffed, rolled and carved across the grain. Pomegranate molasses Brussels sprouts. And we've got the club steak sirloin on the bone, flat iron on the bone, and I've got a picanha coming up. A round of applause to our chefs.
Hey.
Ladies and gentlemen, up the back there on the sides, Master Chef Matt Maslick. To my left, he come from Glastonbury, to Malaysia, to the UK, to World Expo, all the way to Dalby, Liam McLaughlin.
Well done, Sam.
Master Chef of 30 years, MLA's corporate butcher, Mr. Doug Piper.
Hey.
The MC with the most, Chair of Cattle Australia, Gary Edwards. And I'm Chef Sam Burke. This has been Showstopper Steaks. Enjoy the greatest meat on earth, Australian beef. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sam, and thank you for the team at MLA for giving us access to these tremendous chefs. This is a great experience to show you all how they market our product. And another round of applause for Sam and the team. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Robert. Let's get it.